we bring in a friend who we've known for years and years and years. He's an author, relationship therapist, Dr. R.G. Alan Wilson.
Some expert advice on how we can all talk to them. Joining us now is relationship expert Dr. R.G. Alan Wilson. She's the author of Courageous Conversations Connect. Good morning, R.G.
Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Janelle. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And as we mentioned, a lot of people just dealing with anxiety during all of this. What are your suggestions?
Some of the things that we need to remember is that this is temporary. This is temporary inconvenience for long-term gain. And as long as we stay healthy, Janelle, then everything else is recoverable.
Talk to your children about what's happening right now. What are the best ways to do that?
There's some do's and don'ts, right? So you want to tell them that you're going to be here. We're going to be okay. Kids want to know that they're secure and they're safe. So predictability, structure, and consistency. You also want to let them know you have a plan. And even if you don't have a plan, tell them that you're working on one.
Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Dr. RG. It is April 30th. I can't believe it. This is our 28th day of our Courageous Conversations Connect space where we're having our quarantine talks. We're in our 7th week of a shutdown, quarantine, and I'm just grateful to be here. I'm a little tired, so y'all got to bear with me. I got a little low energy today, so I'm going to need you all to give me energy. Give me my likes and my smiley faces and my hearts. Share this with those who you love. We're going to have a great conversation today. Good morning, my IG family. Good morning, my YouTube family and my Facebook family. Billy Joe's on, Glory Jean, China. Hey, guys, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsors, and we're going to be right back. Stay with us. All right, and we are back. And welcome for those of you who are just joining our quarantine talks. Make sure that you share. Make sure that if you haven't gone over to our YouTube page that you do that you subscribe, you hit the notification button. We're having some great content there as well. And we are just hanging out this morning. China's on, Gloria Jean's on. She says, oh, Morgan, are you supposed to let me know? Okay. Good morning. Gloria Jean says, I missed you yesterday, had a meltdown. Oh my goodness. Well, that's why we're here. That's why we made this decision, really kind of, I feel like a calling that Morgan and I made a decision 7 weeks ago to do these quarantine talks for our crew, to connect relationships for epic wins, but also to be with one another through the ups and the downs and the twists and the turns of all of this within the quarantine talks, right? And within our quarantine with this pandemic that we've never been here before. So I'm glad you're on, Gloria Jean. I hope that you're feeling, Gloria Jean, I hope that you're feeling better today. And I hope that this conversation will help you, feel a little bit like, we're with you, like we're all in this together. Billie Jean says, so you can laugh, never forget the time I spent the night and I came running into your room because you were screaming. I was. What was that? Oh, yes. I thought I heard something and I was screaming. Yeah, that was a funny, right? And you were like, okay, we'll just sleep together so that I can make sure that I protect you. So yeah, even the therapists get scared sometimes. I live in a big house. This was before I got married. So now I just call Morgan to go find out where those little sounds are coming from. Tanya says, good morning. Hey, Tanya, good morning. Thanks for joining. Morning. I can't stay with you. I'm at work on the front line trying to stay focused and positive. Well, God bless you for doing the work on the front lines for us. I know you can't stay with us, but we're going to do our breathing exercise in just a few moments. And we're going to be breathing for you, Tanya, and all of your colleagues and the people that are on the front lines. Deborah's on as well. She says, happy to share. Thank you. So we're going to have a great conversation this morning about loyalty conflicts, right? And how do we let go of those loyalty conflicts? Now, we had a great conversation yesterday about forgiveness. I feel like we needed to unpack that a little bit more. So I think we're going to kind of combine this process of thinking about forgiveness, because it's tied to the times in which we have loyalties to sometimes people that we should not. Sometimes we have conflicts about how it is that we stay engaged in relationships that we should not, how we keep people way past their expiration date, quite frankly, and we need to figure out ways to relocate people in our minds. And so I think this is a great time, quite frankly, when we have some time to breathe and unwind and figure out how we're going to come out of this pandemic healthier. This is a time to think about, who are the people that are in your life? Who's showing up? Who's not showing up? Who are the people that we've been loyal to, perhaps to a fault, that have not helped us? Okay. So as you all know, in the very beginning of our talk, we share with each other who we're breathing for. Who are you breathing for today? Are you breathing for yourself? Are you breathing? Well, we all breathe for ourselves if we're here. That's something to be grateful for. But are you breathing for a family member that's sick or struggling? It might be that family member or that friend or that coworker is struggling with mental health issues in terms of how to manage their anxiety or their fear around all of these issues. We have yet to see the fallout of the mental health issues that will come from this pandemic, because we're on the front lines of a war, and the war is a virus, and all the economic, the emotional, the mental health fallout from this virus that sort of has taken over the world and shut us down. And so maybe you're breathing for someone who's struggling with trying to deal with their grief issues. We had a wonderful conversation yesterday with the city and their interfaith division. And it was run by Reverend Naomi Washington Leapart, and it was great. So that grieving conversation needs to continue as well. So tell me who you're breathing for. Tell me if you're breathing for yourself and you have some anxiety, perhaps like Gloria who said that she had a little bit of a meltdown yesterday. We all have that. We all have times when we're not feeling so great, including myself. And so sometimes we need to sort of recalibrate, step back, retreat, then come back out. So take a deep breath, share in the chat if there's someone. Of course, we're always breathing for those persons who are essential workers. And we've learned, give me some thumbs up on YouTube and Facebook and IG, please. The smiley face, the hearts, those help with our algorithms. And of course, continue to share. Jessica says, I'm breathing for herself today. All right, my bonus daughter is on and she's breathing for herself, as we all need to do. I was actually having difficulty breathing last night. I have some respiratory issues myself and needed to really take some deep breaths and really focus and concentrate on my own breathing. But I also think it has to do with allergies. I don't know how many of you struggle with allergies during this time of season, but that makes it hard to have air go through your airways. So tell me who you're breathing for. Nicole says, breathing for my New Orleans family who lost a family member to COVID. Okay, so we're breathing for Mama Stokes' New Orleans family, and she lost a family member. I think that's going to happen more, quite frankly, as we talk about opening up some of these cities where it's highly populated, especially for Black and brown people, especially for poor people who are in places that are very dense, where people don't have the freedoms, quite frankly, and the privileges to socially distance. Social distance, quite frankly, is a little bit of a privilege to go in your house and social distance. Some people don't have a lot of room. And so we need to be prayerful and really take in deep, good breaths for those persons who are not as fortunate as Cynthia says she's breathing for herself. Going to try to get 10. Excellent. Okay. So we're working on lung capacity, guys. That's really, really important when we think about our lung capacity, because this virus attacks your lungs. It attacks other places as well in your body, but in particular, it attacks your lungs. So you all know the drill. We count to 3, and under the sound of my voice, you breathe in a deep breath through your nose. We try to count to 10. If you can't hold it that long, you can let it go. But if you can, that's great, because you're building lung capacity, and we let it out through the mouth. We also breathe in positive energy in addition to oxygen, like love and peace and serenity and joy and contentment. And then we breathe out worry and anxiety and fear and discourse and conflict, right? All right, so getting your positions, middle finger to thumb, or hands on your lap or beside your lap. Back straight and erect. Move around, wiggle a little bit to kind of loosen yourself up. IG family, if you're with us, we're all doing this together. The IG family, our YouTube family, as well as our Facebook family. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in through the nose. Good. And out through the mouth. Breathe in, big breath. Good. Out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose. Out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose. Out through the mouth. One last time, make it count, guys. Breathe in. Woo. Feel that energy, the negative energy going out, the positive energy going in. That felt good, right? That felt really good to me. I want you guys to continue to do that throughout the day, right? When you're feeling the tightness in your chest, when you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling like you're having a meltdown, take a minute to just breathe. Sometimes you can breathe out that energy, that negative energy, that worry, that fear that keeps you bound, and perhaps offstay a potential panic attack. I have lots of clients that have panic attacks, and they actually have the power to prevent themselves from going to that place. Tanya says, breathing for nursing home employees and assisted living employees. My father is at one, and I can see the concern and change is starting to show. I gotcha. So Tanya is breathing for all of those persons in nursing homes. We knew that was the beginning when we started really hearing not only about what was going on in China and in Italy, but we started hearing about what was going on on the cruise ships. And we thought, oh, that's just on the cruise ships, right? It's just people of means. And then we saw in Washington State that there was a hot spot in one of the nursing homes. And we realized, okay, these places where this virus gets a foothold, whether it be nursing homes with seniors or whether it be the prisons, right? We've been seeing more and more coverage around these places with the prisons. And if the virus gets in those closed environments, then it wreaks havoc on those places where people can't socially distance, right? And so, like I said, socially distant is a privilege that many of us have and some people do not have, right? And so we need to be praying for those people in other parts of the world and other parts of even this country that are not afforded the opportunity to socially distant. So we go into, after our breathing, and you all can do this on your own, we go into our mantra. Our mantra this week is that we can turn pain into power if we appreciate the process, right? IG family, are you with me? YouTube family, Facebook family. This is a part of our mantra for the week because many of us are going through pain, right? All different kinds of pain, whether it be physical pain or emotional pain or psychological pain. We may be in relational pain because we're in conflict. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, conflict with our family members or with a loved one. So that's emotional pain or relational pain. So we can turn pain into power if we appreciate the process. Sometimes we don't really appreciate the process, that there is a reason for every season. There is a reason that things are happening in the atmosphere to shake us up sometimes, and we will grow through storms. I think I wrote a post the other day that said every setback is a setup for a comeback, right? So what the comeback means is that we have to appreciate that process to grow through the storm and know that we can come out on the other side. So we do this. I forgot my water. We do this 3 times. We breathe quickly in between, and then we go into our conversation. So we're going to do this together. Our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. The sound of my voice, when I count to 3, we're going to repeat that mantra 3 times. 1, 2, 3. We can turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. Breathe in and out. We can turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. Breathe in and out. Last time. We can turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. Breathe in and out. Yeah, that felt really, really good. So today, for IG family and Facebook family, make sure that you share this. Please share. That helps with the algorithms. Give me a thumbs up. Smiley faces and hearts. Those help with algorithms as well. If you're not on YouTube after this show, you can go on over to YouTube and subscribe and hit the notification button so that you can get all the notifications of the various content that we're doing throughout the week, quite frankly. So I'm thinking about this whole concept of process, right? And how we don't often give ourselves permission to feel. I do think that, quite frankly, many of us are walking around very numb, especially in the middle of this storm that we're calling a pandemic, because it is. A pandemic, by definition, is something that impacts everyone. So this has become a global pandemic that has wreaked havoc on our culture, on our communities, in our world. And that havoc that it's wreaked is that it's actually showing us that it is non-discriminatory. What do I mean by that? This pandemic, this virus doesn't care what your differences are. So we spend a lot of time thinking about our differences, but the truth is that not only are we stronger together, but we are better if we are united on one accord, because the virus doesn't care if you're young or old. We heard these conversations early on that the young people need to look out for the older people because they could just be carriers. But now we've heard that young people are dying from this. So it doesn't care that you're young or old. It doesn't care that you're black or that you're white or that you're polka dot or that you're Asian. It doesn't care what religious affiliation you belong to or what political affiliation you belong to. It just comes at you because you're human. It's very interesting because they say that it came from Wuhan, the epicenter, and that it was transmitted through bats. Then there was some conversation about a lab. But think about it. If it was transmitted through bats that are not human, right? That it's interesting that is not attacking animals, but it is attacking us as humans. And it is attacking humans with underlying conditions, humans that have not been as healthy. So we can take this time right now to level up on our health and well-being, giving ourselves permission first to feel it, feel all that it is presenting to us in the moment. I've asked people to think about, this is why we start out with their breathing exercises, because we have to be mindful. Sometimes it's very, very difficult, quite frankly, to be present in the moment if we're so focused on the past, what we didn't do, who we didn't talk to, who we have issues with, right? That's what the loyalty conflicts are all about. But we also have to take stock in being present in our future, being present in the here and now in order to move towards our future. So when we're thinking about turning that pain into power by appreciating the process, we also have to give ourselves permission to feel. We cannot heal what we do not feel, and we cannot heal what we don't reveal, right? So what does that really mean? Let's unpack that. The permission in many ways has a lot to do with our loyalty conflicts, right? Think about who we've been loyal to, right? And I want you guys to remember this and then write it down somewhere, that we sometimes stay in relationships. This is why that we talked about forgiveness yesterday and unforgiveness and the purging process of letting go, because we stay in relationships way past their expiration date. We also stay in relationships due to loyalty, legacy, and longevity, right? Sometimes we don't. Yes. Yep. Gotcha. We stay in relationships way past our expiration date. And we oftentimes stay in relationships due to loyalty, legacy, and longevity, the 3 L's, right? And what does that look like? For many of us, we sometimes don't forgive ourselves for being in relationships too long. Sometimes we stay in relationships and don't give ourselves permission to let go, to purge ourselves, because we're loyal to our parents, or we're loyal to our friends. We're loyal to the systems that we've been in for far too long. We feel like this is our legacy. We don't separate ourselves from people. We kind of stay in these relationships, and even if the relationships are hurting us, because this is our legacy, right? But our legacy doesn't say that we should allow ourselves to be abused. And there are multiple ways, by the way, while we're being in a pandemic, the levels of domestic violence have skyrocketed because people aren't able to socially distance, and they've been in maybe unhealthy situations far too long past their expiration date. And so subsequently, they have not been able to get out of those relationships. And so love doesn't hit, love doesn't hurt in that way. And that legacy of, oh, we're just going to stay in a relationship that is harmful is not healthy for us. And then the longevity. So legacy, loyalty, legacy, and longevity. I've just been in it. I've been in it so long that I don't know what it's like not to be in it, whatever the it is, right? It can be the relationship, but it can also be the job. It can be how you felt about yourself, right? When we think about letting go of loyalty conflicts, sometimes the loyalty conflict is within yourself. You've been telling yourself negative thoughts for so long, you don't know how not to. You've been not affirming yourself so long, you don't know what it looks like to affirm yourself. You've been thinking that you're not good enough for so long that the concept of thinking that maybe you have some power within you that is beyond measure, and that if you just tap into it, that the world would open up to you. And in the midst of this time of stillness and silence and pause, this is an opportunity for you to level up and grow and re-explore and reignite the power that is within you, right? So we're going to unpack more of that about loyalty conflicts and how we get out of them and how we move on to our best lives in just a moment. But we're going to take a little bit of a break for our sponsors, and we're going to be right back. So stay with us.
Growing a business can be overwhelming. However, it doesn't have to be difficult. With the right resources, task becomes easier and the rewards are great. Easy Make Systems makes online marketing and business management less confusing and more affordable. We've placed all the necessary components to make your job easier. Our Easy Make website builder gives you the ability to create stunning websites or landing pages. Utilize our Easy Make Social to stay current with social media and our Easy Make Mail to drive more engagement through emails. How about creating 24/7 customer service with our Easy Make bots to be there whenever your customer needs to reach you? And more importantly, you can access all of our software on an easy-to-use dashboard that gives easy access from one location. Easy Make Systems is your single source solution.
And your commercials up. All right. Thank you for joining us, IG family. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and YouTube. Listen, you guys, we are here every Monday through Friday. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some smiley faces. Give me some hearts. Give me that energy that helps with our algorithms. We want more people to experience this content. We want more people to experience this conversation. We're having a courageous conversation that connects in this space. And we're having quarantine talks. We figured we're here inside. The best that we could do is perhaps engage in a space where it's peaceful, where it's safe, and where it's inviting. And so we created this space for you. We created the space for us because you give us energy. This is a reciprocal relationship. So we want more people to enjoy it. If they are not able to join because they're working or they're teaching or they're with their kids during this time, let them know about it so that they can sign on. They can watch it, not necessarily in real time, but you also can share it. And if you share it, then it gives them opportunity to see it either in real time or the opportunity for them to see it later on. So again, we're here every Friday, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and we're having our quarantine talks. So now that we got our breathing and our meditation out of the way and we sort of began to unpack this concept of loyalty conflicts, remember the 3 L's. You know, I'm big on the alphabets to remind us of what we need to be thinking about. We ought not stay in relationships as we think about the loyalty conflicts, the conflicts that keep us bound in unhealthy relationships with others and with ourselves. When we think about that, we do that for 3 reasons. We do that sometimes because we've been taught and socialized to be loyal, to stay in a relationship because we're just loyal, even if it's hurting us. We've been taught that this is our legacy. People don't divorce, people don't cut off, people don't let go, even if the relationship is hurting us, right? Or we're connected to our legacy around how we think about ourselves, not in a healthy way, quite frankly, how we talk ourselves out of living our best lives. We put ourselves in a box, and this is all we're either worth or this is all we're able to do. And that is a lie, right? So the legacy needs to be a legacy that uplifts and not puts down, a legacy that is speaking life and not death. And if you think about that legacy that you're a part of, and it's not allowing you to live your best life, or as my good friend Charlie Lewis says, love the way you live, then you need to rethink that. And then lastly, the last L, loyalty, legacy, and longevity. Just because you've been friends forever doesn't mean if the friendship is not healthy for you that you should stay in it. What it does mean, though, is that you need to reevaluate if it's working for you and the other person. And if it's not, then have the courageous conversation, because we're constantly evolving and changing. And if this time doesn't shake you up and allow you to kind of recalibrate and explore the life that you're living and how you're living it and who you're living it with, then I don't know what will. So really explore how it is that those conflicts are impacting you. Tanya, good morning, Tanya. Thank you for joining. Also, Charlotte's on, Michelle Washington's on, all those guys. Thank you for joining. Tanya says, stillness, calmness, and pause. We are blessed to hear from Dr. Argy. What better time to make changes? Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate it. Appreciate the love. So when we're unpacking the loyalty conflicts, here's a couple of things in addition that I want you all to know. I want you to think about, and I want you to ask me some questions about or share the relationships that you actually have where you may be having some loyalty conflicts. Is it with your children? Is it with your partner? We are actually safe together. Like I've asked people to create a reframe, right? That we're not stuck together, we're safe together. But even in the household when we're safe together, it's going to cause us to kind of bring up and be triggered by some old stuff, maybe some old tapes. So share, if you will, also ask questions if you have them about where you feel like you may be stuck with a particular loyalty conflict. So let me give you some examples of what loyalty conflict looks like. It looks like entitlement. So one of my favorite for my clinicians that may be on theory years ago when I was learning to become a marriage and family therapist was contextual theory, right? And contextual theory, not to be too clinical, really talks about those loyalty conflicts. It talks about balancing the ledger. It also speaks to destructive entitlement and constructive entitlement. So it's just what it says, even though the theory is a little bit more complicated than that. But if I put it in simplified terms, constructive entitlement means that you are entitled, we as, let's say, Black people and brown people are entitled to good medical care. We're entitled to get tested just like everyone else. By the way, shout out to the COVID doctors, the Black Doctors Consortium. They are at Triumph Baptist Church today, testing from 10 to 4. I posted it on my Facebook page, my LinkedIn page, and my IG page. So you can get that information there. But they are testing there today. Dr. Ayla Stanford and Pastor Marshall Mitchell are spearheading that initiative. And to date, they have tested over 1,600 people for this virus, and they're continuing to work in that area. So shout out to them with regards to how it is that they are moving that initiative along. Back to the thought about the loyalty conflict and the destructive and the constructive entitlement. That's some constructive entitlement, that we're entitled to everything that anyone else is on this planet with regards to healthcare and abundance and peace and joy and love and happiness. But here's some destructive entitlements, and you may find yourself in a relationship with someone, or you may find yourself in a relationship with yourself where you have some destructive entitlement. That means that, like, you think that you're, let's say you're in a relationship and life has dealt you some bad cards, and because of that, you begin to displace your frustrations onto someone else. That could even happen in this time that we've been home for the last 7 weeks when the country has been shut down. Think about it. Have you had some stinking thinking? Have you had some thoughts in your mind that because you're over this and you want to get out, you want to get on with your life and go back to your life as it was, that you now are taking your anger or your frustration out on someone else? And you feel like, listen, I'm not feeling good about how things are going, so I'm entitled to treat people a certain way that's not healthy, or I'm entitled to talk to them a certain way. Or are you destructively entitled to not be kind to yourself? Whatever that entitlement is, it's not good with regards to destructive entitlement. And as far as letting go of the loyalty conflicts, that's very essential, right? Because sometimes what I mean with regards to loyalty is that we can be overly loyal and overfunction with regards to loyalty, and that doesn't help us. There are ways to still connect with our family, our friends, our loved ones, but perhaps maybe with appropriate boundaries if you find that those relationships are not so healthy for you. Here's the conflict in that, right? The conflict is often in our head, because when we're thinking about whether or not we should pull back or whether we should set boundaries, quite frankly, when they're thinking about whether we should go over to somebody's house that's invited us and we know that we're supposed to be socially distancing, right? Sometimes we don't even want to say no to them, but we know that we should. That's a loyalty conflict. Yes, I want to say yes because I feel like you're my relative or you're my loved one, or maybe you're my partner, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, something like that. And I want to say yes. But at the same time, I recognize that to say yes might mean that I put myself or you in harm's way. How do you step back and set appropriate boundaries? You process, right? We turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. So you pause, you hit the pause button, right? And remember, very, very early on, I gave you 5 things to help you to pause in a way that allows you to process the information a little bit differently. So you pause, then you breathe. So that's the second step. The third step is that you reflect on what's happening. Pause, breathe, reflect. Then you identify what's triggering you, what's creating that conflict within you that causes you to feel the guilt or maybe embarrassment, or maybe you're feeling like you need to actually do what this person's asking you, even though you know it's not correct. What is triggering you? Are you going back to the little person inside of you, that person that never said no to anyone, that people pleaser? Whatever it is, you need to identify it so that you can know what to do with it. And then you can respond differently. So those 5 steps will help you to process in a way that allows you to set appropriate boundaries for yourself and not get caught up in that loyalty conflict. I think this language is really important, guys, because most of us don't have it. We don't know why we're reacting to certain things. We don't know why we tend to say yes to everything. We don't know why we ended up at that party, right? Or that social gathering 5 weeks in to this social distancing, knowing good and well that it wasn't a healthy thing for us to do. And perhaps you didn't get sick, but what about the next time, right? Or what if, Tanya talked specifically about the nursing home and relatives being in nursing homes. That is the hardest thing. It is absolutely heart-wrenching to know that your loved one is in a nursing home or they're in a hospital and you want to be there for them, but you know that you can't. Now they're setting these regulations in place that we can't go anyway, but what if they relax them? What happens to you when, not if really, but when they relax the regulations? Are you going to adhere to your loyalty conflict and then go about your business as usual as if this never happened, and perhaps put yourselves or your family in harm's way for a second wave, perhaps? Those are the kinds of decisions. Life is about choice points, right? It's about decisions. It's the same information that you would tell your children when you're thinking about setting appropriate boundaries and them setting appropriate boundaries. You'd say, make good choices, make good decisions. Don't get in the car if they're a young person, a young adult or a teenager and they've just gotten their license. You say, don't get in the car if somebody's been drinking, right? You'd say, think about the crossroads. And when you're at the crossroads, what decision will you make that is in the best interest of yourself? Well, that's what we're all called to do. Yet, when it comes to people that pull on our heartstrings, when it comes to our family, when it comes to our friends, when it comes to people that we just care about, it is really hard to separate our heart from our head, right? So therefore, when we think about what we're doing, we sometimes just react based on our loyalty conflicts. This week is all about purging. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me if you've ever got caught up in a loyalty conflict and you found yourself in the middle of a triangle. Maybe it wasn't even your issue. It was somebody else's issue, right? And you got in the middle. Type it in the chat for me. Let me know how you resolved it. What did you do? Did you never ever resolve it? Did you end the relationship perhaps because the person couldn't fully understand where you were coming from? Or are you still in it? These are times, I think, quite frankly, that many of us need to figure out how it is that we grow through this process. Because the truth is, we are going to get to the other side. This is a marathon. That's true. It is not a sprint. However, we will grow through this. But how will you grow through it? How will you get to the other side? Will you get to the other side of this pandemic battered and bruised emotionally, Will you get to the other side of this pandemic sort of making poor choices for yourself that didn't allow you to utilize this time wisely? Or will you begin to purge, right? This is what I'm inviting all of us to do. Think about your relationships. Think about how you're purging. Think about what you're letting go of, right? Letting go of expectations, as we talked about earlier in the week, unrealistic expectations. That's huge. Why? Because we have no power and control over anybody but ourselves. And that's even a false choice sometimes, or a false thought, that maybe sometimes we don't have as much control over our environment as we think we do. But we certainly don't have control over expectations that other people will do what we want them to do or what we think they should do. By the way, did anybody see that post that I had put up yesterday about this young man, 26 years old, who threw a party for two of his friends in Chicago that had died due to gun violence? That's real. And his mother was on a 24-hour shift as a frontline worker, a first responder, had no idea that he was having a party in his home with a whole bunch of people, hundreds of people in this house, until the police stopped by the next day when she got home and the house was cleaned up and said, do you know that there was a big party in your house? So here's the thing. The truth is that sometimes we have no control over other people. But for that young man who put tons of people, not just the people that were in that house, but other people that they were connected to, in harm's way, quite frankly, shame on him. And we have to do better. And sometimes it requires that we do better by setting appropriate boundaries with the people that, you know, won't listen to us. So letting go of unrealistic expectations, and then letting go, quite frankly, of unforgiveness of ourselves and perhaps others who aren't able to embark on this process of forgiveness, which is wonderfully liberating and freeing. And then figuring out where our loyalty conflicts are. Where are they? Megan says, I recently ended a friendship, and it took me a year to create distance and work up the courage to have the conversation. And now I'm lighter, happier, and feel better. Thank you so much for sharing that, Megan, because that's real, right? We're going to unpack that a little bit more in terms of friendships, because sometimes we think we have friendships forever, and sometimes they're just for a season and a reason, not a lifetime. We sometimes also make our lifers seasonal and our seasonal friendships or relationships lifers. So we'll unpack that a little bit, but this is a great conversation. So stick with us. We're going to take a moment for our sponsors and we'll be right back.
Are you sometimes feeling out of sync and you don't know why? Do you ever feel like you just need to talk with someone about your circumstances? Dr. RG has provided professional therapy to thousands of individuals, families, and couples just like you. No longer do you have to believe there is nothing you can do. Having a therapist and coach to help you process what you feel is what you need. Dr. RG is known for working with marriages and couples to develop the skills to have courageous conversation and incredible transformation in their lives. Schedule an appointment today. Call 215-789-6999. Dr. RG is healing families one relationship at a time and transforming relationships one courageous conversation at a time. Schedule your appointment today.
As direct as I would like. Hey, and here again, I was talking to my IG family over there who are not necessarily, they're on the platform with us, but they don't necessarily see all that you see in terms of the commercials or what have you. But welcome back. This is the Quarantine Talks, where we're having the courageous conversation in our Connect space, if you will. And where we left off was really sort of beginning to unpack the whole loyalty conflict. And Megan had talked about the fact that she had had to have a conversation or create distance with a friend. And then it took her a while to have the conversation. That's very difficult. It's very difficult when you begin to recognize, quite frankly, that you are moving in a direction, different direction than people that you love and that you care about, right? And that perhaps, and this is the time of year that I typically do this exercise, is usually at the end of the year when I ask people to take an inventory of all the people in their lives. Who are the people that add to their life and who are the people that subtract from their lives? And then I ask them to think about who are the people in your life that you add to and who are the people that you're subtracting from, because you may be subtracting from people. You may be just in a different space, and not because anybody is horrible but because quite frankly, we're just moving in different directions. And so when you think about who you add and subtract from, then that can kind of give you a rubric for how you realign yourself, how you recalibrate, how you relocate. And so some people really are not either deserving of a front row seat in your life, or perhaps you've just outgrown them or they've outgrown you. That's not a terribly bad thing. Everybody's not in your life for a full lifetime. That's not how this thing works. But what we can do is we can be grateful for the time that we spent together. We can be grateful for what we learned from one another. We can be grateful for even the negative messages or the pain that those relationships have brought us. Now, there's a different way to look at it, but the reality of it is that we do turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. We do begin to learn from those experiences, and we don't have to define ourselves by those painful experiences. Those painful experiences are meant to inform us, but they don't have to define us. So then when we move on into healthier relationships, actually letting go of some of those relationships that may not be good for us or may be toxic, that creates space for healthier relationships. Yes, babe?
Allison over here at on IG said, is there a recording of the grief session from last night? What was from yesterday afternoon? Well,
from yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so I think we'll have to reach out to the moderator, which is Naomi Washington Leapart. It was sponsored by the city of Philadelphia, and it was free to everyone. And I do think that they did record it. So there is a recording, and so when we get that recording, we will post that recording on our Allison, sorry. Allison, we'll post that recording on our YouTube page as well as our other platforms so that anyone that can hear it. We were on with a number of wonderful persons that are from the various faith-based communities. We also had people on that were from emergency response teams, and we really talked about the various ways in which we grieve. There were even some clergy on there that actually had been infected by the COVID virus and had recovered. Two. One was a pastor and the other one was a rabbi. She was a rabbi. And so, it was a great conversation. I do believe that they're going to do a part 2. I think that they have a tentative date of May 13th. I hope to be a part of that discussion as well, but we will definitely post that on grief. And if you all are interested in us talking more about the grieving process, we can integrate that into the quarantine talks. I think it's important, quite frankly, and I think that we are grieving many things, and I've incorporated some of that into some of my presentations. But the reality of it is that conversation is so vast that it's hard to to deal with it all at one time.
Ask them if they'd be interested. We're going to produce a master class, so let them know that the master class is coming.
Okay.
That you're going to be sharing a link for them to pre-register for that.
Okay. So Morgan wants me to let you guys know that the masterclass is coming. We just did one a couple weeks ago, and we're working on a new one. We're going to post the link for that masterclass, but please let us know if you're interested in that masterclass. We're going to give us some thumbs up if you're interested. Even put in the chat box that you're interested so that and what topics you would want us to integrate into that masterclass. We've talked about a lot of different things, but the truth is these are thumbnail sketches. It doesn't go as deep as I would like for us to do. And I really want us to continue to go deeper in these conversations so that we all grow together. These are deep conversations. They're necessary conversations. They're courageous conversations that many of us don't have because we're too fearful. So I want to be the person that helps to facilitate your growth process so that you have stronger relationships both with yourself and with other people. And at the end of this process, this pandemic, that you come out of this stronger, you come out of this wiser, you come out of this more learned, and quite frankly, you come out of this more content with a level of peace, serenity, and calm that helps you to elevate your life and live your best life on purpose. That is my goal. And that has really always been my goal. For those of you who know me even before these platforms, you know that my voice hasn't changed much. My passion has maybe elevated a bit, right? So there are times when I'm tired, like a little bit tired today, right? But you all give me energy, and I leave these conversations inspired to keep going. A lot of people ask me what I do for me. Well, I don't share with you anything that I wouldn't do myself. I wouldn't ever do that. I don't share with you or share with my clients anything that I would never do myself. Quite frankly, I believe in therapy.
I've been in therapy for a number of years at various different times in my life. I'd never go to a therapist that didn't have a therapist, because I don't think that we can do the work that we do if we're not grounded ourselves and we're not able to process. So I am very, quite frankly, concerned about a lot of the mental health professionals that are out there, because we are on the front lines and we are absorbing a lot of trauma and stress, and that vicarious trauma can weigh on us if we're not doing the necessary things to process that information as well. So that's my goal. You guys let me know if you're interested. Let me know what you're interested in, because my goal is to meet your needs. It's to create, Morgan and I, an opportunity to have these spaces and these places where we can commune and grow and connect together.
And it's everybody can become part of the crew. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think they get the crew.
So this is a really, well, we are a crew, right? We know this, that we are a part of this crew, but the crew stands for Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins. And we want to know what your wins are as well. If you guys, when we're having these conversations, if these conversations have helped you and you've taken the information to your family or to your friends, it's helped you to level up in your communication or your awareness within yourself, your appreciation for how far you've grown, let us know, because those are the wins that we want to celebrate, right? This is all about us. We shifted quite frankly now months ago to an I society to a we society. So this is just our contribution of making this about us and how we grow together. Michelle says, Dr. RG, thank you so much for allowing God to use you to be a blessing to so many. I am so inspired by your ministry. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. This is a ministry, right? This is how Morgan and I fundamentally believe that God put us together in this union to do this work on assignment. And I said in a post earlier today, when I was talking to the people from Detroit, I said I was supposed to be there, Morgan and I, this week, and we would have been doing a presentation on Friday in person. Yeah, it was part of the book tour, right? But you know what? God never cancels his assignment. He just reassigns you to something different, or he recalibrates how you're going to carry out that assignment. So this ministry is what we have been assigned to do, and we don't take it lightly. We're appreciative of it. It gives us life. It gives us energy. You all give us life and energy. And we are just so appreciative of how it is that you've come along on this journey together and how we will continue to grow together. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to think about the topics that we've had, because we're going to culminate tomorrow in terms of the concept of purging and letting go. And I want you to come back ready to share how it is that you've let go of unrealistic expectations or unforgiveness, or let go of loyalty conflicts. Whatever that is for you, share it with us tomorrow. We're going to look forward to it, and I can't wait to see you. Have a beautiful day. I'm sorry. We're going to go to our break, and we'll be right back. Sorry. All right, so we're back. That was our last commercial to kind of wrap it up. And again, I want to thank you guys for being here, for staying in with me. I love you. Morgan loves you. We love you. There's nothing you can do about it. So if anyone hasn't told you today, we want to tell you we love you. And we will see you back here tomorrow. Have a beautiful day on purpose, from my heart to yours.